Welcome to Shocking History Photos, where rare images rewrite what you thought you knew. We know these faces, legends, icons, rebels, but have you ever seen them before the world knew their names? What did Che Guevara look like as a schoolboy? Or Einstein as a teenager, years before he rewrote science? These rare, almost forgotten photos reveal 30 iconic figures like you've never seen them. Some inspiring, some unsettling, and a few might change how you see them forever. Let's get started. Number 30. Che Guevara. He is the ultimate symbol of rebellion across continents. From Latin America to Africa, the influence of Che Guevara spread like wildfire. But this young man in a white shirt. That clean-cut, almost model-like face. That's Che too. He looks more like a film star than a guerrilla fighter. And this one, taken in 1943, shows a teenage Che as a schoolboy, focused and far from the wars. Can you even imagine this is the same man who helped lead the Cuban Revolution, defied the US, and became a global figure for resistance? Remember his final words, "Shoot, coward, you are only going to kill a man." And yet, these forgotten photos remind us, before the battles, the speeches, and the legend, he was just an ordinary young man like all of us. Number 29. Osama bin Laden. This teenage boy in bell-bottoms, laughing with friends, few would guess he'd become the world's most wanted man. Yet this is Osama bin Laden, years before the attacks that changed history. Looking at these pictures, it's hard to believe that one of the world's darkest figures once looked just like us. Number 28. Fidel Castro. He ruled Cuba for nearly 5 decades, defied 11 US presidents, and survived over 600 assassination attempts. But look at this boy. In 1942, he's just Fidel, posing with his brothers at a Jesuit school. On the right, he is also Fidel in 1946, a college freshman in Havana who was still unknown and quiet. And then this, shirtless, gripping a basketball, lean and focused. Who could have guessed this kid would one day take over a country and shake the world order? That behind this athletic frame was the mind of a rebel in the making. These photos aren't just rare, they're almost unbelievable. Number 27. Emiliano Zapata. This face is probably the most realistic image of what rebellion actually looks like. Emiliano Zapata, the man behind Mexico's land revolution. But this childhood photo, often associated with him, shows just a normal kid. No rage, no army, no revolt. And then there's this iconic shot. Zapata at Sanborn's Cafe in Mexico City, calmly sipping coffee, not on a horse, not holding a rifle, just sitting. Zapata wasn't born to fight, but something changed, and when it did, he shook an entire system with the words "Tierra y Libertad." But here in these rare photos, he's still just Emiliano. Number 26. Pablo Escobar. This is the face everyone knows, Pablo Escobar, the king of cocaine, who once controlled 80% of the global drug trade. But this mugshot, just a teenage boy in a t-shirt. He looks like any other student, yet this was the early face of a man who would later bomb buildings, assassinate politicians, and turn entire cities into war zones. And this, his old ID card, feels almost laughably normal. But behind that calm expression was the future mastermind of one of the bloodiest criminal empires in history. These photos don't just show youth, they show the calm before a very deadly storm. Number 25. Ted Bundy. If you know Ted Bundy, you've probably seen this photo, the killer who shocked America. But here's something different. This mugshot shows a smiling boy no older than 12. And in this rare image, he's just another kid among Boy Scouts, laughing, innocent, unrecognizable. It's hard to imagine that behind those eyes was someone who would become one of the most infamous serial killers in US history. Bundy confessed to 30 murders, but experts believe the number could be much higher. These childhood images, they're haunting, not because of what they show, but because of what the world never saw coming. Number 24. Richard Ramirez. This is Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. This image shows who he really was. Eyes wild, hands chained, a symbol of pure terror. But then there's this mugshot, calm, almost gentle. And here's a photo of him at 11, just before epilepsy forced him to quit his football team. Who could have imagined this smiling boy would go on to commit some of the most brutal murders in California history? Ramirez killed at least 13 people, often showing no pattern, no mercy. These photos aren't just rare, they're disturbing windows into the early life of a man who became a nightmare. Number 23. Aileen Wuornos. Since her execution in 2002, Aileen Wuornos is remembered as one of America's most feared women. She killed 7 men in just 1 year, and the world called her the Damsel of Death. But look at her early photos. Just a young girl with no sign of what was coming. There's no anger in her eyes yet, just someone trying to fit in. It's hard to believe this quiet and smiling face would one day send shockwaves across the country. Number 22. Henry Ford. Before he built the car that changed the world, Henry Ford was just a quiet farm boy in Michigan. This first photo shows him as an innocent child. In the second, he's 13, wearing a hat, and this was taken shortly after his mother died. You can almost feel the weight on his shoulders. And finally, this young man, curious and restless, would soon create an industry that reshaped modern life. Looking at these photos, it's hard to connect this gentle face with the industrial giant we read about in history books. Number 21. Walt Disney. Before the Magic Kingdoms and Mickey Mouse, Walt Disney was just a boy with a pencil and big dreams. In this first photo, he's young, wide-eyed, and full of imagination. While in this image, he looks almost like a soldier, strong, confident, far from the playful world he would go on to create. It's hard to believe this serious young man would become the most awarded individual in Oscar history, with 48 Academy Awards and 7 Emmys. Number 20. Soichiro Honda. Everyone knows Honda, the cars, the bikes, the global name, but behind it all was one man, Soichiro Honda. Look at him as a kid here, just a normal boy with big dreams. And in this photo, as a young man, he's so charming and handsome that he could pass for a movie star. He wasn't born into success, but with grit, vision, and relentless curiosity, he built more than just machines. He built a legacy. Number 19. Colonel Sanders. This is the man behind KFC, known for his white suit, iconic beard, and secret recipe. But look at this rare childhood photo. Just a little kid with his family. No famous look, no sign of the food empire to come. And then this one, a young Sanders, clean-shaven and surprisingly handsome. He's wearing what almost looks like a Charlie Chaplin-style outfit with charm and character already in his eyes. At this stage, he was still far from creating the brand that would change the fast food industry. These photos show a side of the Colonel few have ever seen. Number 18. Margaret Thatcher. It's hard to believe this smiling girl would one day be called the Iron Lady. Yes, this is Margaret Thatcher, Britain's first female Prime Minister. In this photo, she's just a happy child, relaxing in the sun. In the next photo, she's strikingly elegant, showing a softer, graceful side that few remember. And finally, her 1951 wedding day. She is looking so radiant and beautiful. It's almost shocking to see this softer side of someone who would one day earn the title, the Iron Lady. Number 17. John F. Kennedy. He was America's youngest elected president, leader during the Cuban Missile Crisis, and the man who set the moon mission in motion. The world remembers him as a charming, well-dressed president. But in this wild photo, he's shirtless, holding a giant snake, just a playful young man with no clue of the legacy ahead. And here, he poses casually, carefree and full of life. These rare moments show us that even history's greatest icons started out just like any of us. Number 16. Joseph Stalin. Joseph Stalin is known as one of the most ruthless leaders in history, responsible for millions of deaths and the brutal control of the Soviet Union. But wait, look at this photo. Is this the same man? Here, in his youth, Stalin looks like an ordinary, even handsome young man. No big mustache, just a slight beard. Hard to believe, right? And wait, what's this? He's holding his daughter, looking like any loving father. It's shocking to see this side of Stalin, so different from the ruthless dictator he would later become. This photo shows a man before power, before terror. Number 15. Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela changed the world. He spent 27 years in prison, fought against apartheid, and became South Africa's first black president. And that's not all. He became a global symbol of peace and justice in the world. But long before all that, here he is in Umtata, 1937, calm, composed, just a young man with quiet strength in his eyes. And then, wait, is this Mandela too? This rare photo shows a young Mandela posing like he's ready to box you. Confident, playful, nothing like the calm leader we remember. And here's another, Mandela with Evelyn at a wedding party in July 1944. They had just met and would marry soon after. Number 14. Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe became the ultimate Hollywood icon. We all know her for her beauty, charm, and unforgettable screen presence. But look at this childhood photo. She looks calm, almost lost in thought, with a quiet sadness in her eyes. This is where she wasn't Marilyn Monroe. It's hard to believe this little girl would grow up to become one of the most recognizable faces in the world. And then, this photo. Can you tell it's even her? No glamour, no spotlight, just a normal young girl. These rare images show a side of Marilyn most people never see. Before the fame, there was Norma Jean, just a kid with a quiet dream. Number 13. Marlon Brando. He is the man who became the Godfather, one of the greatest actors of all time. But look at this childhood photo. That serious face, that stare. It's like he was already practicing to be Don Corleone. It's almost too perfect. And then, here's another rare one. Brando in what looks like a soldier's uniform. Was he really a soldier? Not quite. But he did enroll in military school as a teenager, and the uniform fits his strong, rebellious image. These early photos show that iconic presence was always there, even long before the cameras started rolling. Number 12. James Cameron. James Cameron is one of the most successful film directors of all time. Titanic, Avatar, and a legacy of record-breaking cinema. But before all that, here he is at around 12 years old. So cute, so innocent. It's hard to believe this boy would one day change the cinema completely. And take a look at this. Young Cameron showcasing his drawings during school. And this is when he joined Cameron's studio and started working on a science fiction film. Even then, his imagination was exploding with other worlds. These rare photos show the early sparks of a genius who never stopped dreaming big. Number 11. Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll. We all know that iconic face, the hair, the pose. But look at this photo from his youth. Doesn't it feel like he was born with that pose? The style, the attitude, it was already there. And here's another rare shot. Elvis with his mother. No spotlight, no stage, just a regular young man sharing a quiet moment with his mother. But little did anyone know, his future would change music forever. These photos show the calm before the fame, the ordinary boy who became a legend. Number 10. Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla, the brilliant mind who gave us AC electricity, wireless communication, and the foundations of modern technology. Today, many see him as the man from the future, with ideas that were far ahead of his time. But look at this rare childhood photo with his family. So small and innocent, it's hard to imagine he'd go on to change the world. And in this one, as a young man, he looks like a prince, calm, confident, and already full of ideas. Behind those eyes was a storm of genius. These photos remind us that the man who lit up the world with his inventions started out just like anyone else, quiet, curious, and full of dreams. Number 9. Alan Turing. Alan Turing, often called the father of modern computing and a pioneer of artificial intelligence. His work during World War II helped crack the German Enigma code, saving countless lives. But his true legacy lies in laying the groundwork for AI and computing as we know it today. Now look at this childhood photo. He seems so cute and mischievous. Back then, he could never have known that his ideas would spark a revolution in technology. Today, we live in an AI-driven world, and Turing's genius still influences us. He gave us the future, and we'll never be able to thank him enough. Number 8. Marie Curie. Marie Curie, the brilliant scientist who changed the world with her discoveries of radium and polonium. She became the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, and the only person to win 2 in different scientific fields. But here's a photo from her childhood. So normal, so cute, smiling with the innocence of youth. This is her at 24, arriving in Paris, where she became a student at the Sorbonne. And here she is again, years later, pictured in 2012 with 4 female science students. Decades of handling radioactive materials cost Curie her life, a tragic price for discoveries that saved countless others. Number 7. Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein, the genius who changed how we understand the universe. His theory of relativity turned physics upside down, but even in his youth he looked like the legend we know today. Here's a rare photo of 14-year-old Einstein with his sister Maria. That thoughtful face, that calm look, it was already there. And in this young photo, his hair is starting to form into the famous wild style we all recognize. Then there's this one, with his wife and son, just a regular family moment. But behind that quiet smile was a mind that would reshape the laws of reality forever. Number 6. Adolf Hitler. This is Adolf Hitler, but not the image we usually see. Can you believe this is him as a child? Just an ordinary little boy, with no sign of the dark future ahead. And this one, Hitler as a soldier during World War I in 1919. A quiet, almost lost face in the crowd. And here's another rare shot. He's got a mustache, but not the iconic one we all recognize. It's strange to see him like this. Before the speeches, the destruction, and the horror, these photos show a side of Hitler that history often skips, but one that reminds us how even the most feared figures once looked so normal. Number 5. Mike Tyson. Now let's jump to modern times. This is Mike Tyson, the most feared boxer of his era, but these rare photos tell a different story. A quiet kid in a tough neighborhood, a young fighter focused and listening intently to his trainer, And in this 1986 portrait, he stands calmly in a white sweater and sneakers, almost gentle. It's hard to believe that this soft-spoken teenager would soon become the most explosive force in boxing history. Number 4. Snoop Dogg. A true pioneer of West Coast rap, Snoop Dogg. From his voice to his vibe, he changed the sound of hip-hop forever. Here he is in high school in the late 80s, just a regular kid. And here you can see him rocking different hairstyles and his own style. And then comes this legendary moment, Snoop in the studio with Dr. Dre. That's where it all started, hits like nothing but a G-thang and a whole new era of rap. Snoop went on to become a global icon, but these photos show the early days of a man who made history with his flow. Number 3. Steve Jobs. This is the face behind Apple, Steve Jobs, the visionary who reshaped how the world connects. But long before the keynote stages and global acclaim, he was just a teenager, quiet, intense, and already building. These rare photos show him in his early years, tinkering with circuits, exploring big ideas, and later traveling the world in search of meaning. Before the fame, before the legacy, it was just Steve, with curiosity and a mind already changing the future. Number 2. Maggie Smith. This is Maggie Smith, and most of us know her as Professor McGonagall from Harry Potter, but there's so much more to her story. Here she is in 1963, young, elegant, and already a rising star. In 1966, she's seen meeting Queen Elizabeth II after a performance of Othello. The next year, she married actor Robert Stevens, and here she is in 1969, holding their baby son. She had a full and rich life long before Hogwarts. She later brought magic to a whole new generation with her unforgettable role in Harry Potter. Isn't it something, how we often know someone for one role, but behind the scenes, there's an entire life we never saw? Number 1. Mother Teresa. We mostly saw Mother Teresa as an old, kind lady, a symbol of peace and compassion. But here, we get glimpses of her incredible life. She was born with a heart full of kindness, and from a young age, she chose to dedicate herself to serving others. This photo shows her as a 16-year-old nun, already on her path of selfless service. In 1979, she's seen here in Calcutta, meeting a patient with the same gentle care we all remember. And this powerful image shows her carrying a child in Beirut during a bomb attack. While history holds some terrifying characters, there are also people like Mother Teresa, who showed the world what loving humanity truly looks like. History remembers their names, but these rare photos show us their humanity. Hit like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss more moments hidden in the shadows of history.